I did not wake up one morning and discover wealth waiting at my door. Riches did not come as a gift of luck, inheritance, or coincidence. They arrived slowly, deliberately, and lawfully. Through habits repeated so often, they reshaped my thinking, my decisions, and finally my results. Money is never the beginning of riches. It is always the end result of a disciplined mind. What truly made me rich were 5 daily habits that trained my thoughts to cooperate with opportunity instead of resisting it. A definite purpose reviewed daily is the habit that gives direction to every other effort in life. Without it, energy scatters, decisions weaken, and opportunity passes unnoticed. When a person clearly knows what they want and revisits that aim each day, the mind begins to organize itself around that objective. Purpose is not a wish or a hope. It is a decision made with firmness. Writing it down and reading it daily impresses it upon the subconscious, where it begins to influence behavior, perception, and courage in ways that feel almost automatic. The mind starts filtering information differently, noticing chances that once seemed invisible, connecting ideas that previously appeared unrelated. Daily review of purpose acts as a mental compass. Each morning, it reminds the individual who they are becoming and why their actions matter. This habit prevents drifting, which is the silent enemy of success. Drifting occurs when people allow circumstances, opinions, and temporary emotions to decide their direction. A definite purpose interrupts this tendency by placing a clear command at the center of thought. Even when confusion arises, purpose provides a point of return. It does not eliminate obstacles, but it gives meaning to struggle and transforms hardship into training rather than defeat. When purpose is reviewed daily, it begins to influence choices at a subtle level. Small decisions start aligning with long-term goals without force. Time is used more wisely, conversations become more intentional, and distractions lose their grip. The individual no longer asks, "What do I feel like doing today?" but instead, "What moves me closer to my aim?" This shift alone separates those who accumulate results from those who remain busy yet unfulfilled. Purpose simplifies life by reducing unnecessary options and focusing effort where it produces the greatest return. A definite purpose also strengthens confidence. Doubt often comes from uncertainty about direction, not from lack of ability. When a person knows where they are going, criticism loses much of its power. Opinions of others become background noise rather than controlling voices. Reviewing purpose daily reinforces self-trust and builds inner authority. The mind becomes less reactive and more deliberate, responding to challenges with calm determination instead of emotional impulse. Confidence grows not from external praise, but from internal clarity repeated consistently. This habit trains the subconscious to accept success as normal and expected. Repetition is the language of the subconscious mind. When purpose is read daily with feeling and belief, it begins to feel inevitable. The mind starts working on problems even when the person is not consciously thinking about them. Ideas arrive unexpectedly. Solutions appear during ordinary moments, and intuition sharpens. This is not chance. It is the result of a mind conditioned to cooperate with a clear objective. Reviewing purpose daily also creates accountability. It becomes difficult to deceive oneself when the goal is written plainly and revisited each day. Excuses lose their comfort because the mind is reminded of the promise made to itself. This habit develops integrity between thought and action. When actions fall short, awareness arises quickly, allowing correction before habits of failure take root. Purpose becomes a mirror that reflects both progress and avoidance with honesty. Over time, definite purpose evolves from a statement into an identity. The individual no longer pursues the goal as something external. They begin to embody it. Behavior, language, and attitude adjust naturally. Persistence increases because quitting would mean abandoning a part of oneself. The daily review keeps this identity alive and active, even during periods when results are slow to appear. It anchors belief during uncertainty and fuels endurance when enthusiasm fades. This single habit, practiced daily, lays the foundation for all achievement. It organizes thought, sharpens focus, strengthens confidence, and activates hidden mental resources. Wealth success, and fulfillment do not respond to scattered desire, but they respond unfailingly to a mind disciplined by clear, repeatedly affirmed purpose. Controlled and disciplined thinking is the habit that separates those who command their circumstances from those who are ruled by them. Every experience in life is first interpreted by the mind, and that interpretation determines emotion, action, and result. When thinking is left undisciplined, it becomes reactive, easily influenced by fear, anger, and the opinions of others. A disciplined mind, however, chooses its thoughts deliberately, understanding that thoughts are causes and conditions are effects. By mastering thought, a person begins mastering results. The practice of controlled thinking starts with awareness. Most people allow thoughts to arrive and stay without question, assuming that whatever enters the mind must be true or important. Discipline teaches the opposite. Each thought is examined before it is accepted. Is this thought strengthening or weakening? Is it leading toward purpose or away from it? By repeatedly asking such questions, the mind learns to pause before reacting. This pause creates power because it breaks the automatic chain between stimulus and response that keeps many people trapped in cycles of worry and impulsive action. Fear is the primary enemy of disciplined thinking. Fear distorts perception and exaggerates obstacles until they appear larger than reality. Controlled thinking does not deny fear, it places it under authority. Instead of allowing fear to dictate decisions, the disciplined mind analyzes it calmly and reduces it to facts. Often fear dissolves when examined rationally. When it does not, it can still be managed and used as a signal for preparation rather than retreat. Through daily practice, the mind learns that fear is not a command, but a condition that can be directed. Negative emotions such as resentment, envy, and anger are also brought under control through disciplined thinking. These emotions consume energy without producing value. When indulged repeatedly, they form habits that poison judgment and relationships. Controlled thinking replaces emotional reaction with constructive reasoning. Instead of asking why something is unfair, the mind asks how it can be turned into advantage. This shift preserves mental energy and redirects it toward growth. Over time, emotional maturity develops, and the individual becomes known for calm strength rather than volatile reaction. Another aspect of disciplined thinking is selective focus. The mind cannot hold opposing ideas with equal intensity at the same time. By choosing where attention rests, a person determines which ideas grow and which wither. Controlled thinkers feed their minds with thoughts of possibility, solution, and improvement. They do not obsess over problems. They study them briefly and then focus on resolution. This habit sharpens creativity and encourages persistence because attention remains fixed on progress rather than limitation. Daily mental discipline also involves guarding the mind against external influence. News, conversations, and social environments constantly attempt to plant ideas, many of them rooted in fear or scarcity. A disciplined thinker does not absorb everything unquestioningly. Information is filtered through purpose and principle. Voices that weaken confidence are reduced, while those that encourage clarity and courage are amplified. This conscious selection protects the mind from contamination and preserves its abiel. 80 to think independently. Over time, controlled thinking builds self-mastery. Decisions become deliberate rather than impulsive. Confidence grows because the individual trusts their own judgment. Mistakes are analyzed without self-condemnation and used as instruction. The mind becomes a reliable ally instead of an unpredictable enemy. This inner stability allows consistent action, even under pressure, because thought remains clear when circumstances are uncertain. Disciplined thinking also strengthens imagination and faith. When the mind is not cluttered with fear and doubt, it can visualize outcomes with clarity and conviction. Repeated positive visualization combined with rational planning conditions the subconscious to expect success. This expectation influences behavior subtly but powerfully, guiding choices toward opportunity and persistence toward completion. This habit, practiced daily, transforms mental chaos into mental order. It aligns thought with purpose and emotion with reason. Wealth and achievement respond naturally to such a mind because success is attracted to those who think with control, clarity, and deliberate intention. Consistent daily action toward goals is the habit that converts thought into reality. Ideas, no matter how brilliant, remain powerless until they are acted upon. Many people mistake planning for progress and intention for achievement, yet results respond only to movement. Daily action trains the mind to respect its own decisions. Each S&M, all step taken reinforces belief, while hesitation weakens it. When action becomes a daily discipline, momentum begins to replace effort, and progress feels more natural than resistance. The power of daily action lies not in intensity, but in continuity. Great achievements are rarely the result of occasional bursts of effort. They are built through steady, repeated movement in a single direction. By acting daily, even in modest ways, a person maintains connection with their purpose. This connection prevents discouragement because progress is measured in engagement rather than immediate reward. The mind learns to value consistency over dramatic but short-lived enthusiasm. Daily action also eliminates fear. Fear thrives in inaction, feeding on imagined outcomes and exaggerated consequences. The moment action begins, fear loses much of its influence. Movement provides feedback, and feedback replaces uncertainty with information. Each action, regardless of outcome, teaches something valuable. Over time, the mind associates action with learning rather than danger, making courage a habit rather than a struggle. Another benefit of consistent action is the development of discipline. Motivation fluctuates, but discipline grows through repetition. Acting daily conditions the nervous system to respond automatically to intention. The question shifts from whether to act to how best to act. This removes internal debate, which is one of the greatest drains of mental energy. When action is scheduled and habitual, procrastination has little room to operate. Daily action sharpens focus. When effort is applied regularly, distractions become easier to identify and eliminate. The mind begins to distinguish between activities that create progress and those that merely create motion. This clarity leads to better time management and higher quality effort. Instead of spreading energy thinly across many tasks, attention is directed toward actions that produce measurable movement toward the goal. This habit also builds confidence through evidence. Confidence is not created by affirmation alone. It grows from repeated proof of follow-through. Each day of action becomes a vote of trust in oneself. Over time, these votes accumulate, forming a strong self-image of reliability and capability. When challenges arise, this internal record of consistency provides reassurance and resilience. Consistent daily action invites opportunity. Movement attracts attention, resources, and cooperation. People are naturally drawn to those who are visibly engaged in progress. Ideas evolve as they are tested, and new paths reveal themselves only after the first steps are taken. By acting daily, a person stays in alignment with opportunity, ready to recognize and seize it when it appears. Daily action also refines skill. Repetition improves execution, reduces error, and increases efficiency. Each day spent acting is a day spent learning through experience rather than theory. Skills that once required conscious effort become automatic, freeing mental capacity for strategy and creativity. This continuous improvement compounds over time, producing results that appear sudden to observers but are the product of long preparation. Through consistent daily action, persistence becomes natural. Obstacles are no longer reasons to stop, but signals to adjust. Progress continues even when conditions are imperfect, because action has become part of identity. The individual no longer waits for confidence, clarity, or permission. These qualities emerge as consequences of movement. Thought finds its fulfillment in action, and action gives thought its authority. Association with growth-minded people is a habit that quietly but powerfully shapes destiny. Every mind is influenced by the minds it regularly encounters, whether through conversation, collaboration, or even prolonged exposure to ideas. No person develops in isolation. Beliefs, standards, and expectations are absorbed from the environment long before they are consciously chosen. By intentionally associating with those who value progress, discipline, and possibility, an individual raises their own level of thinking without force or struggle. Growth-minded people challenge limitation through example rather than argument. Their language reflects solution instead of complaint, and their behavior demonstrates belief in improvement. Regular interaction with such individuals gradually redefines what feels normal and achievable. Goals that once seemed ambitious begin to feel reasonable. Effort that once felt uncomfortable becomes standard. This shift occurs subtly as the mind adapts to the emotional and intellectual climate of its surroundings. Association also influences self-image. People tend to see themselves through the reflections offered by those around them. When surrounded by individuals who expect growth and responsibility, a person feels compelled to meet those expectations. Excuses lose their acceptance and accountability increases. In contrast, environments that tolerate stagnation or negativity reinforce lower standards. By choosing associations carefully, a person chooses the mirror through which they see themselves. Growth-minded associations stimulate learning. Conversations become opportunities for exchange of ideas rather than expressions of frustration. Challenges are discussed in terms of strategy and adaptation. Exposure to diverse perspectives expands mental flexibility and creativity. Ideas evolve faster when they are tested and refined through dialogue with people who value improvement. This constant mental stimulation keeps the mind active and open, preventing stagnation. Another powerful effect of association is emotional reinforcement. Growth-minded individuals provide encouragement rooted in realism, not empty optimism. They understand struggle as part of progress and view setbacks as information rather than failure. This shared understanding creates emotional resilience. In difficult periods, association with such people prevents isolation and discouragement. Strength is borrowed through proximity, and belief is restored through shared experience. Association also accelerates opportunity. Networks of growth-oriented individuals tend to attract resources, information, and connections. Opportunities often flow through relationships rather than formal channels. Being part of an environment where people actively pursue improvement increases exposure to possibilities that might otherwise remain hidden. These opportunities are not accidents. They are natural consequences of being aligned with those who are in motion. Choosing growth-minded associations also requires the courage to reduce exposure to limiting influences. This does not demand hostility or judgment, but it does require intention. Time and attention are finite resources. Investing them in conversations that reinforce fear, doubt, or complacency carries a hidden cost. By gradually shifting attention toward environments that encourage development, a person protects their mental energy and preserves momentum. This habit extends beyond physical presence. Books, mentors, recorded talks, and ideas all count as forms of association. A person can surround themselves with growth-minded influence even when alone by choosing what they consume mentally. Over time, these influences shape thought patterns and emotional responses as powerfully as direct interaction, association with growth-minded PE. Opal strengthens belief in long-term effort. Witnessing others persist through difficulty normalizes patience and perseverance. Success is no longer viewed as sudden or mysterious, but as the result of sustained application. This understanding reduces impatience and reinforces commitment. The individual learns to value progress over applause and mastery over shortcuts. Through deliberate association, a person aligns themselves with an upward current of thought and action. Standards rise, beliefs expand, and effort intensifies naturally. Growth becomes a shared expectation rather than a solitary struggle, and the environment itself begins to support advancement. Faith, strengthened by persistence, is the habit that carries effort through uncertainty and transforms intention into accomplishment. Faith alone, without action, remains a fragile belief easily shaken by delay. Persistence alone, without faith, becomes mechanical and exhausting. When the two are joined and practiced daily, they form a force that refuses to be defeated by temporary circumstances. This combination teaches the mind to expect progress even when visible evidence is slow to appear. Faith, in this sense, is not blind optimism. It is a calm inner certainty that effort applied consistently will produce results according to natural law. This certainty grows through repeated reaffirmation of purpose and through the memory of past perseverance. Each time a person persists, despite discomfort or doubt, faith deepens. The mind begins to trust the process rather than demand immediate reward. This trust reduces anxiety and preserves energy for continued effort. Persistence is the visible expression of faith. It shows belief through behavior rather than words. Many people believe they have faith until they encounter resistance. At the first sign of delay, they reinterpret difficulty as failure and retreat. Persistence corrects this error by recognizing obstacles as part of the journey. Each obstacle faced and endured becomes proof that quitting is unnecessary and often premature. The habit of persistence rewires the mind to see endurance as strength rather than stubbornness. Together, faith and persistence neutralize discouragement. Discouragement often arises from the illusion that effort and result must appear close together in time. When results lag, impatience invites doubt. Faith fills this gap by sustaining belief during the waiting period, while persistence keeps action alive. This pairing allows progress to continue quietly until the moment when accumulated effort produces visible change. This habit also builds resilience. Repeated persistence through difficulty conditions the nervous system to remain steady under pressure. Emotional reactions soften, and confidence stabilizes. The individual learns that discomfort is temporary and survivable. Setbacks are no longer interpreted as personal failure, but as feedback requiring adjustment. This mental toughness becomes a competitive advantage. Age in any field where long-term effort is required. Faith strengthened by persistence sharpens intuition. When the mind is not clouded by panic or desperation, it becomes more receptive to insight. Ideas surface more easily, and judgment improves. Persistence keeps the individual engaged long enough for these insights to appear. Many breakthroughs occur only after extended effort has exhausted obvious solutions. Without persistence, these moments are never reached. This habit also attracts cooperation. People are naturally drawn to those who demonstrate unwavering commitment. Persistence signals seriousness and reliability. Faith signals confidence and vision. Together, they inspire trust and support. Assistance often arrives not at the beginning, but after consistent effort has proven genuine intent. Through continued action and belief, resistance from others often turns into respect. Faith and persistence also protect against the temptation of shortcuts. When belief in the process is strong, there is less desire to abandon principles for quick gains. The individual becomes willing to do what is necessary, not merely what is convenient. This integrity strengthens self-respect and reinforces long-term success. Over time, faith strengthened by persistence becomes part of identity. The individual no longer questions whether they will endure. Endurance is assumed. This quiet certainty influences decisions, tone, and presence. Challenges are approached with calm determination. Third, an urgency. Progress continues even when recognition is absent because belief no longer depends on external validation. This habit ensures that temporary defeat never becomes permanent failure. Effort continues beyond disappointment, and belief survives beyond delay. Through daily practice, faith grows stronger with each act of persistence, and persistence becomes easier with each reaffirmation of faith.